This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This morning, I would like to recite and explain the first verse of the Opus Magus of the great Buddhist reformer Gaurav Dorje, known in Sanskrit as Vajra. The text in English is described as spaciousness of Vajrasattva and in Tibetan as Dorje Sampa Namkache. Let us begin now with the first verse. Listen, O virtuous one, I will show you the truth of your being. I absolutely love that begins by describing the listener or the reader as a virtuous one. In many patriarchal traditions, it begins by describing how people are lost and powerless and altogether fucked, but not in the fun, tingly way. This is the opposite. Welcome to matriarchy. You are and always have been Vajrasattva, the infinite consciousness living presence and creative power of the divine. The vast spaciousness of being, always good, the way of liberation for all beings. You are and always have been Vajrasattva. How are you and I and everybody else like the archetype known as Vajrasattva, or Dorje Sampa if you prefer Tibetan? Simple. Vajrasattva literally translates as diamond mind, and it could be elaborated as the diamond-like strength of mind well trained in acquiescing to mindfulness, the natural mindfulness and meditation. How are you and I like this entity, real or imagined or purely archetypical? Because our empowerment comes from cooperating with our natural tendencies to notice and relax. And as a result, we tend to experience our circumstances as appearing, yet not graspable. Our bodies as sensual, yet not graspable. Our experience of the interpersonal as resounding, yet not graspable. And our experience of mind as lucid, yet non-graspable. Infinite consciousness. So this is the opposite of the folly of active focus. Active focus makes the world very, very small. Infinite consciousness is our natural state. It makes perfect sense. Within the retina of our eyeballs, we have not just we have rods and cones, and one is for foveal vision and the other is for peripheral vision. And if we had not evolved peripheral vision, we probably would not have survived. We would have had no defense against the stealth-like approach of a predator. But because we can notice things peripherally, respond viscerally, that is a strength, evolutionarily speaking. It is also a strength when it comes to the path of mindfulness meditation, to notice whatever comes up, whether that which comes up is external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque. That type of naked awareness, extreme vulnerability, is useful. Living presence. You and I are not made of stone. We're not a statue comprised of wood. We shift our position every few moments in meditation. Our chest shifts with every breath. Our mind shifts with every perception, emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagining. and creative power of the divine. There is no such thing as a bad perception or a bad intention or a bad thought. Yes, some thoughts are pleasurable and some are less pleasurable, and some are more interesting and others are less interesting. But as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into the simplicity of just mental energy. The vast spaciousness of being always good. On the path of patriarchy, the erroneous path, the path of Devadatta, the path of grumpy Mace Windu, the path of the big Lebowski, we are prone to being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And it seems that we just stagger from one tragedy to another. However, that is not the only way of being. Upon the path of the Buddha, upon the path of the dude, upon the path of groovy, what was the opposite of Mace Windu? Qui-Gon Jinn. Upon the path of groovy Qui-Gon Jinn, we are flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. And so by cooperating with our autonomic nervous system, whatever we perceive during our inhalation, even if it's a cruel intention, is released during our exhalation. This cooperation with our autonomic nervous system calms our aggressive and anxious amygdala and gently stimulates our empathetic anterior cingulate gyrus. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. Loving kindness is built into a healthy brain. Be you neurotypical or neurodivergent, empathy is our birthright. The more we fight against our brain, the more divorced we are from it. The more we cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, the more we experience the highest love, which is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of simply noticing and relaxing in harmony with our phases of breath. The way of liberation for all beings, simply by cooperating with our autonomic nervous system, we become, if you forgive my tendency to quote Hebrew scripture, a light to the nations. Not by boasting in ourselves, not by knocking on our neighbor's door on a Saturday morning and trying to argue with them into coming to church, but, excuse me, got some floss stuck in my teeth. But by simply living in cooperation with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, through the visceral practice, the spontaneous practice of awareness and release, people are drawn to the fruit of our practice effortlessly. Beyond appearance and disappearance, beyond the grasp of the intellect. As we breathe, some things enter our sphere of awareness. As we breathe out, as our lungs swell with breath, we notice all manner of phenomena. As our lungs, as our chest sinks, as gently we exhale, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even less graspable, at least partially, at least for a moment, at least until the next inhalation when the cycle begins afresh. We can't, beyond the grasp of the intellect. Our brain is useful, but when we overuse the front of our brain, looking at the dorsolateral and medial prefrontal cortex. When we overwork those areas, we exhaust ourselves to the point of beginning to involuntarily present with symptoms of depression, no less triggering our amygdala, which, as we mentioned, is the seat of both anxiety and aggression. So, is the intellect bad? Should we sign up for lobotomy? Oh, hell no. Then what is the most efficient, sustainable way to use the front of our brain? Glad you asked. The more we play with mindfulness and meditation, perhaps once every 12 hours or so, the more we will find that our choices and utterances and deeds begin flowing not from contrived calculation, nor from wild scatteredness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. This could be described as right action or effortless action or wu wei or going with the flow or being led by the force. A rose by any other name would still smell as sweet. This is the way to use all the organelles of our brain, all the organelles of our central nervous system in the most sustainable way. The Dzogchen, as taught by Garam Dorje, is not something different than what the Buddha taught. It's a return to proto-Buddhism, an escape from the corruption of institutional Buddhism and shamanism. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you.